are back at work.
I understand why Allison is so hell-bent on structure. Structure is important, it's key. You have to have a beginning, you have to have a middle, and you have to have an end.
We're on Gentle Bend, and I think that we talked a little bit prior in prior sessions about how what we thought was the pilot is now actually going to be episode 2, and we have to start the show a little bit, in more so in advance.
I guess the part that I'm not 100% clear on with her is how structured do you want this to be? What are we working on? Oh yeah, the script.
You know what movie I watched the other day?
No.
The Sting.
Yeah, you watched it? I watched it a few months ago.
Did you? That is a
Isn't
classic.
it a great movie?
Oh my gosh.
I remember seeing it when I was a kid, and I knew I liked it, but I didn't rember why until I watched it again.
That was brilliant. Brilliant. I think one of the things that Norm and I are really, that I'm struggling with is the structure of this particular show. And the reason that I'm struggling with that is that there's different structures for if you're going to do a television show, a half-hour sitcom versus a web series. And we don't really know where this particular script is going to fall.
So I think we combed through pretty much everything right up until Ben got to his father Howard's house. And we were happy with everything. In fact, I think even it was fine after he got to the house, right? Because there was that conversation about how Ben's mom died. But we did insert that scene where he comes to the house, and gets out prior to getting to the house, and just looks and gets out of the car for a minute and takes a breath, right?
Did we insert that or we haven't?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
It should be in there.
Okay.
You don't take it all snitty. I mean, I'm just.
You were
I sent you the latest.
I got you coffee this morning.
You know, I talk about other shows that I watch or have watched in the past where things were so structured that you started to see the formula became obvious to you, and then when you watch the second episode you recognize the formula. When you watch the third episode you recognize the formula. When you watch the fourth episode you recognize the formula. Everything just became so monotonous. And I really want to avoid that.
I think that regardless of what format this is going to air in, we should have a structure. Do you know what I mean? Like, we should have... I feel like maybe we should write it for TV and then the length for TV, and then when we do it as a web series, which we probably will, we just split it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying format-wise.
Well,
I'm trying to.
Structure's not a bad thing.
Pardon?
A structure is not a bad thing. I mean, even if you structure it for TV, but then the only thing is, if you structure it for, let's say, what, 22 minutes? Mm-hmm. That's not bad. I mean, you can still structure it for 22 minutes and just have your episodes 22 minutes without commercials.
Oh, like webisodes, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know?
I know that last time you were saying, well, you know, it doesn't matter how many pages or whatever because, you know, as a webisode we can choose how we want to cut it or whatever. But I just feel like writing and going forward, it would be good to have some sort of structure. We don't really know where the script's going to go, do you know? So is it going to be more a television show or is it going to be a web series? So the challenge right now is how do you write that? Because there's two different structures, right? Like with a television show, it's 22, 23 minutes and, you know, halfway through there's a hook right before a commercial break and then there's another hook at the end of the series in order to get you to come back next week. Whereas with a web series, you can edit it any way you want. You know, you can show 8 minutes and then another 8 minutes, or if you wrote 22 pages, you can do a 22-page episode. Here's
the problem, though. If you're writing a 22-minute episode mm-hmm. and you want to structure it based on, just work with me here, based on airing it on television, mm-hmm. then you know you've got your whatever introduction, your dilemma, your hook. And then you've got, you know, if you break it up into, let's say, 4 segments because there'll be commercials inserted in, then you need to write with your hook in mind, and then write with your hook in mind, and then mm-hmm. your hook, and then your resolve. Right? If it's a webisode, you can, it doesn't, I don't think it has to be that structured, right? Like, But if you want it to go on TV, we have to structure it that way. If you don't care if it goes on TV, we have a little bit more flexibility to do what we want, how we want to do it.
It's a story about a small town. It's a story about life in a small town. The difference between living in a small town versus living in the city, the pacing is different. The general overall feel is different. That's one of the things I hope that we can get across in this series.
All right, but that's more. I don't know if that's a formula or if that's just structuring the episode so to make sure that certain points come out, and that might be just for this episode.
That's what I mean. I think we're talking in different languages, but the same thing or something.
Well, I'm speaking English. I don't know what the hell you're speaking.